Yeah. What's going on, friends? This is MC Till with Everybody's Hip Hop label. You are tuned in to the Boom Bap Chat, number 69. If you're watching us right now, you know who's in the building. I'm going to introduce this guest in just a moment. But if you're in Cincinnati, please, as always, get on over to Everybody's Records. They have a great assortment of tapes, CDs, vinyl, books, all about hip hop or all about music. They have a great hip hop selection. And if you can't get over there, you can always check them out online at everybody'srecords.com. Also, another outfit that we've been promoting is getondown.com. If you don't know about these guys, if you're a vinyl head into hip hop, especially, they also have CDs and tapes, but a lot of vinyl and hip hop you can find on getondown.com. So check that out, please. Tonight on the Boom Bap Chat number 69, we have an artist that I'll tell you, everything this man touches is excellent. And we're going to talk more about that in just a moment. But if you could, I have a live studio audience right behind me. You can't see them, but they're here and they're going to clap it up as we welcome the one and only Uptown XO. What's up, Uptown XO? How you doing, man?
Yeah, oh man.
Right on, man. Welcome. How are you today?
I'm doing great, brother.
Good, man. Well, thanks for taking some time to be with us, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. Like I said in the intro, one of the things we do here on the Boom Bap Chat is we show appreciation. We give roses to our guests that we appreciate. And one of the things I really appreciate and admire about you is just like the integrity and the excellence that you have in all that you do. I mean, not just musically, but like the brand, the clothing, the website, even when I went to the website, like the pictures, the gallery, like everything's just laid out really nice. It's just presented really, really well. And so I really appreciate the excellence that you do and everything. So props to you for that, man.
Thank you, man. That thank you for like noticing that, for real.
Yeah. No doubt. So tonight, what I want to do, I kind of want to go like just in a circle, full circle. I want to start with culture over corporate, kind of what it is, and then end on the actual music that you've put out under that name. So can you just let us know what is that? What is culture over corporate?
Well, culture over corporate was a brand that I started that I wanted to be like a sort of like an intellectual movement, like an entrepreneurial movement, the way as though we go out of our way to support each other's businesses instead of unconsciously empower our oppressors. So, so many of, I guess, oppression comes from the top, like, or these elite groups, like, I guess, the leaders of these big corporations. And, we get affected by the trickle-down effect of whatever they decide. So it's like, let's come up with our own business models and our own products and our own corporations and pool our own money together to come up with products that we can support to circulate the hip hop dollar, not the black dollar, but the hip hop dollar, because I think that's bigger than the black dollar. But the hip hop dollar, we can support. We can support ourselves without having to ask for help from us, from our oppressors. You know what I mean? From the people on the top that like to see us on the bottom, because without us being on the bottom, there would be no top for them to be at. So let's break down the pyramid and rebuild our own pyramid where we can all take turns being at the top of the pyramid, like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's really deeper than music.
Yeah, you're based in DC, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this culture over corporate thing movement that you're doing, you talked about, like, the pyramid, sometimes you're on top. Have you had moments, like kind of mountaintop moments with this thing where you're like, man, this is a dope moment or a dope experience right now?
Musically, yeah, I have. I guess like back in 2009 when like In the Rough came out.
Yeah.
Diamond District.
Yeah.
I was doing my thing with Studio 43 and Kenny Burns, the label Wale was with. So I had both of those going at the same time. And it seemed like as an artist locally, I was like in the elite. And with me being in that position, I started an open mic that artists like Phil Day, Black Cobain, and Fat Trail came out of those open mics, and a lot of other artists as well, Mike D'Angelo. So that's what I did, having a position as, I guess, an elite artist and giving people an opportunity to be in my position to pull other people up, like Phil Day did, and like Fat Trail did with other artists, like he did with Young Mo, who's with Kevin Gates now. Shy Glizzy even came out of that energy that was going on around that time. It was almost like a domino effect. So I think that's helpful. If I didn't do that, or if I didn't have that, I guess, Harriet Tubman mentality, to where as though I know I have this sense of freedom that I found through me thinking outside the box, but let me go back to the plantation, metaphorically speaking, and get around some of my brothers and share some of this open-mindedness to give them a perspective of freedom for them to start chasing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, that's what I did,
Yeah, that's dope. I imagine that just as there's been really great moments, there's also, I assume there's also been challenging moments too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. How do you navigate those moments? And have you felt like giving up before? Like, this is just too much?
I knew that that feeling was the moment to keep going. Like whenever a person feels that way, because I was in sales and stuff like that, like outside of music, like where I worked in like some me and Wale, actually, we worked at this clothing store called Downtown Rockland, and I ended up being like a manager of the store, actually, and like running like 5 stores, then going to other retail companies and like running their stores and seeing, what that whole thing is about. So just having that insight, I applied it to like music as well. And what was your question again?
No, you're good. Just during the challenging times.
Challenges, right?
Yeah,
right.
How'd you get over the challenges?
Yeah. So every no you get closer to your yes. I learned that like every no, you're actually getting closer to your yes. So it's like building resiliency is important for like an entrepreneur, because they say, okay, all right, they say 1 out of every 10 businesses fail. That means as an entrepreneur, you at least need to build up and condition yourself to be rejected at least 9 out of 10 times.
Right.
Or you need to set up mentally, you may fail like 9 out of 10 times doing what you're doing. So if you keep going, then that's when you really tap into true success. And then when you listen to like the other successful people, like Jay-Z, for instance, he was like, yo, man, the only genius thing I did was I didn't stop, or I didn't quit.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? So it's like hearing those testimonies and getting personal confirmations through my own like trial and error. I knew just not to stop. You know what I mean? Like that type of feeling is like a storm that goes away. Being down and stuff. It's like the stock market. Everything goes up and down, up and down. It's like making your low higher than like at your last low.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you keep on that, then it's like you're on a steady climb. You know what I mean? But everything is meant to go up and down, up and down.
Yeah. I love that. I love the idea of whatever the word is, failure, defeat, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That those things are a part of success or the goal or whatever it is. Like it's just a part of it, and you have to go through those things to get to the goal or get to the finish line or whatever, whatever the analogy is. Yeah, I love that. So on your website, and I encourage people to go check out this website. It's cultureovercorporate.com. It's a really nice laid out website. You have shirts on there, man. Those shirts are dope, man. It's not just music shirts. Like you had a Marcus Garvey shirt, Lauryn Hill, Madam CJ Walker shirt. Were these your inspirations, or is someone else, designing these?
And definitely some of my inspirations and some of my partners' inspirations, like a group effort as far as like, yo, I think we should do this too. It's like, yo, let's do it. So, because the brand is definitely not about me, even though I guess I'm like a spokesman for it. You know what I mean? But it's bigger than my music, or even bigger than the songwriting that's based on, the subject matter of look at what I can do, or I'm so at doing this. The music is even written in a selfless way. The music is written to inspire the people. And I feel as though we're missing that in music right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Who else go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Who else is inspiring you in music? Like I say, everything you touch is excellent. Do you gravitate towards other artists like that? Are there other artists out there like, man, this dude or this woman, like they're dope? Who are you gravitating towards these days?
Man, recently I have to be listening to like Bob Marley, man.
Hey, that's cool too. Yeah. Rest in peace to
Locks.
The Locks, yep.
Just going back to old stuff, getting re-inspired, you know what I mean? It's really like for a person that's been listening to what they've been listening to for so long, it's like a lot of people just locked into what they like.
Yeah.
No matter what new things come out, it's like, it's cool. Like I may dibble and dabble in some Griselda.
Yeah.
Some Stove God Cooks and Rock Marciano, my man John. But I still like those. Like the new Nas album is dope too.
Yeah, I like that album. Yeah.
I always like to check out like what's new to get an update on the latest sound. You know what I mean? But and then I'm bumping my own stuff too that's like coming out unreleased.
Yeah. I can't wait to hear that stuff. Are you familiar with a group A1 and Phonics?
Sound familiar.
Okay, I'm gonna shout them out a little bit later. They started this record label, Don't Sleep Records, and I feel like everything they do is excellent too. So I think you'd probably dig what they're doing. But anyway, I'll shout them out a little bit later. Before we exit this website conversation, I did want to ask about your website. We have my man Michael Stover, Big Stowe. He's on our Everybody's Hip Hop label team, and he does like marketing for artists and stuff like that. And he is always telling artists to get a website. And like when I prepare for these Thursday nights, and even when I just like an artist, like I always try to find their website, but a lot of artists don't have websites.
Yeah.
How important has it been for your career to have a dope website?
It's been very, very important. My other website is uptownxo.com. I have that website, then I have cultureovercorporate.com. And that's a way you can give someone your card, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Give them your phone number and your name, and you can give them your website as well, and they can just see all your videos there in a package. It's better than like telling somebody, "Yo, look me up on YouTube right quick," and then go to iTunes and look me up on there, and then go to over here. Like, no, you have all that in one place and make it easier and more convenient for the consumers that like you to easily access what you have to offer. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's your products or your services.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I like it because I can instantly kind of get a feel for the artist. I can't really like I pull up Spotify. It's like, okay, I can see like a tiny little square image of the album cover. And I obviously listen to the music, but when I'm seeing kind of the feel, the style of the website, like, okay, all right, I think I, can rock with it. You can just tell really quickly what they're on, so that I think that's pretty cool. Yeah. So being in DC, I'm very curious to know about the party scene there. Like, studying history, studying hip hop, learning about like the jams in the park and all of that. The party, the coming together was a very integral part of how hip hop, kind of came together and started spreading. What was that like for you, before the pandemic, kind of growing up in it? Like, what was the party scene, the coming together scene like in DC in the hip hop world?
Um, well, I say it was like a sub level of the like underground in DC, because you got like the regular nightlife, um, and I was a promoter as well, like at some like big clubs in the city, like Club Love and Glam. Um, can you hear me? Yeah. Club Love
Yeah, I
and
got
K
you. Yeah.
Brown. Yeah, and I was a big promoter, and I was with some big promoters. So you have that aspect of nightlife where it's like if Jeezy comes to town or Jay-Z comes to town, they may, do a walkthrough at this club. You have that nightlife. And then you have like the DC culture nightlife, the way it's like, all right, we going to the go-go, you know what I'm saying? And in the go-go, that's like where you're gonna find like the real DC. You know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna find a real DC in the
Yeah.
go. You know what I'm saying? So other than that, the hip hop community, you know what I'm saying, is like another underground sub level of the underground. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, all right, at the real DC folks, they going to the go-go, you know what I'm saying? But then you have like another aspect of the culture that's going to like open mics. So like when I started and I met Odyssey and YU, they had an open mic at like a bookstore. It was like an all ages joint. And I was like 16 going to that joint. It was called Capital City Records. And the vibe was like so organic. It was like 8 Mile-ish. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
It was definitely 8 Mile-ish. Come in here, battle.
Mm.
And then like that was my first step into that world that I didn't even know existed. Like that's
Yeah.
how to the underground I got. And really that's why I started, to be honest. I started that deep for real. And then I went up. You know what I'm saying? I was always in the go-go and stuff like that, but it's like I went up to like from being in the hip hop to then being a promoter, then start my own through being a promoter, I got my own club and I had my own night. And that night we did hip hop. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So it's like I continue on with like the culture I was like, emerged into. You know what I'm saying?
Mm. Yeah. You mentioned the battle, a battle scene. Did you get heavily involved as a battle MC?
Um, in my earlier years,
Really?
yeah. Before I had songs written, I just had battle raps. And when I started rapping, it was really like in the school cafeteria.
Yeah.
I had detention, and the only guys that was rapping was like the New Yorkers, because like people from DC, we didn't even rap like that
Mm.
unless it was over like a go-go beat with a bang. You know what I'm saying? So where I was going to high school at in Maryland, like those guys was rapping. It was like a lot of New York guys going to school out there, so they was rapping. So I jumped in the cipher with them. You know what I'm saying? And I was rapping from that point on. I like befriended those guys and
Yeah.
started doing music with those guys and recording some of my first records with those guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I can kind of sense like even like your music today, it has a presence in there that it's not surprising that you kind of, got some battle rap, history in you. Cause you have a presence on the mic where it's just like, you're going to listen to me. I have something to say, you have a powerful voice, not
yeah,
kind of smooth, slick, laid back, you got a powerful voice, which is really
yeah,
cool. Yeah.
yeah.
You mentioned go-go a few times. Go-go is so fascinating to me because I'm curious to know your thoughts on this. To me, it really didn't spread that much outside of, kind of the DC area.
Yeah, yeah,
But yet, like I've been to DC a few times, knowing people from there, it's like it's huge there, but it hasn't really spread. Is that kind of your take? Like I don't hear it a lot in other music. Hip hop kind of has crept in, jazz kind of creeps. I don't hear go-go creeping into a lot of music outside of DC, which I think
yeah,
is really interesting.
yeah. And I think that it's an energy there, almost like
Mm,
that is like the corporations have a grasp on most of the I guess urban city aboriginal
mm,
hip hop American, like they have a
yeah,
grasp all of the aboriginal music that came from America, from jazz all the way up to hip hop, and like go-go is one of the things they don't have a grasp on. It's
huh,
still in its wild form. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? What it
Well,
looks like. And when you go to a go-go, it ain't nobody on the wall chilling. Everybody's dancing. Like
yeah,
everybody, like when you go there, and it's like if you don't go to a show and you just hear it, that's a different type of first impression. A
yeah,
person may be on the fence um, based on how much they appreciate like music, more so like jazz and instrumentation. But if they may not have an appreciation for like instrumentation, they really need to be there live, because you can't deny live instrumentation,
right.
even not like really into it. If you're
Mm,
there, almost like being at church and the music is dun dun dun, it's like you
right.
feel that,
Yeah.
like, and you feel like the urge to get up and like move with the music, and that's what
Mm,
go-go does in its raw, pure form. And the last element of music, um, that is like I guess preserved like that black musicianship that
mm,
had in the Black Renaissance.
yeah.
As far as like the Cab Callaways, and this is home with Duke Ellington and stuff like that. Anyway, you
Yeah.
know, so yeah,
It,
that
it, and you have a more intimate connection to it, not just geographical, but
yeah.
your grandfather was in one of the original go-go bands. Is that right?
We managed them. Yeah,
Managed them. Okay.
first go-go band, actually. They was the first
The
go-go band.
first go-go band, the Young Senators. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. And it's like it wasn't
Wow.
even called go-go really, like when they did it, but like that's what that sound was. Almost like
Mm,
if if go-go was like the iPhone, then the Young Senators was like put the first software in the iPhone of go-go. You know what I'm saying? And
okay.
had like, hey, this is the iPhone 4 version. And
Right.
now it's evolved up into, what go-go is today, where the bands each band has evolved the actual sound. So it's like each band um, that took the sound and went another place with it, they actually cultivated it and,
Mm,
developed it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
To hey,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, they just developed it to what it is today. Like now it's like different genres of go-go. You got the bounce beat, you got the pocket beat.
Mm,
Then you like every band almost like has their own sound where they took it and they just
yeah.
flip. You know what I mean? Almost like different versions of smartphones, how they evolve
Right.
over time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the like you talked earlier about like the layers of like the party scene, got the underground, go, all these different layers, the battle scene, all that. It's
Mhm.
cool to think about like the layers, like just in your own personal family. Like your grandfather was, a manager. Then you got into that essentially like with
Yeah.
clubs and, stuff like that. It's like kind of cool to see the parallel between the layers of,
Right.
the life
Yeah.
in the clubs and layers in your family.
Then my father played the drums,
Mm,
being inspired by my grandfather. Then he ended up playing drums for Gil Scott Heron, who coined the
yeah.
phrase "revolution won't be televised."
Right.
And
Right.
Gay samples a lot of his music, and
Hmm.
Gil Scott Heron's a legend. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah. Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
So we mentioned go-go a few times. For folks that don't know, maybe they're in a different world, never heard this term. How would you describe go-go?
Go-go was like the cousin of hip hop.
Mm.
Go-go was even used in a lot of early hip hop records. Like if you listen to the record, not the Joe Budden's record, but the old joint from the 80s, pump, 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 pump me up.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever listen to the Juice soundtrack with a movie, and Omar Epps, who plays Q, is DJing,
Mm-hmm.
like that's one of the records that he uses while he's battling DJing. So if y'all listening, y'all might want to get a feel for how go-go was incorporated with hip-hop, and it's just as old as hip-hop. Y'all can go back to that movie as like a point of reference for what that may sound like. And a lot of Curtis Blow records, Heavy D records, Salt and Pepper records early had that go-go sound. You know what I mean? The 80s. It's just that we didn't grow like hip-hop grew, but it started out in this wild form almost with the same energy. So go-go, we started in the park on block parties, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and it is like East Coast culture, I guess, from like New Jersey down to here, the way the guys beating on the streets on the trash cans or whatever. You know what I mean? That's like New Jersey all the way down to here, you know what I'm saying? So here is kind of like where we took it, that percussion influence. Really is like Afro-Cuban too, though, like Cuban, Puerto Rican influence mixed with jazz, you know what I mean? Almost our own New Orleans second line type of, you know what I mean? But it's really raw, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Another term, in addition to go-go, another term I wanted to ask you about tonight. We use this a lot. It's the title of the show tonight, the Boom Bap Chat. Is that term boom bap thrown around a lot in DC? Or not really?
Boom bap is like equated with like backpack, you know what I mean? So like you're both like, okay, yeah, you know, boom bap rap, a backpack rapper raps on a boom bap beat, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Definitely, man. I didn't even know what that was, to be honest, until I started like going down to U Street and like, I guess being around a different diversity of artists, basically. Like, other than like me, I come from the hood, so a lot of guys that where I'm from is gonna be on some hood shit. You know what I'm saying? But go to open mic, you know, you got like the different calibers of the art. You know what I mean? As far as like, you may have somebody that's coming through with a like Talib Kweli vibe, or Most Def vibe, or like you may have had those almost like if every rap style was like kung fu, and you know, people mastered the tiger style, snake style. You know, you had these styles that came from a lot of artists, and you can tell influenced a lot of people. And like, okay, boom, this is the DC version of that. Like, okay, that looks dope. You know what I'm saying? I like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I can take part in that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wanted to ask that right after the go-go, you know, conversation, because to me, a lot of go-go that I've heard and experienced is like, a lot of it is, at least the way I hear it, a lot of it is in the drums, in the percussion. You mentioned that.
Yeah.
And the best descriptions I've heard of boom bap is that, again, it's the drums. It's a certain kind of like loud kick, loud snare. It moves in a way that makes your head maybe not dance like go-go makes you dance, but it makes you move your head, you know, do that snake fade.
Like,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, exactly. Like, and those vibrations give off that reaction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I feel like go-go and boom bap have a very similar, you know, something about them is similar to me. Vibration, I guess you know, is a good word for it. Yeah.
It makes people move a certain way. So if the corporations know the music makes people move a certain way, and they contractually bound young, impressionable artists to music that makes people move a certain way, it's almost like the corporations unconsciously have some sort of control over a particular demographic of the youth, and have a serious effect on what they, is they have a serious effect on their development. You know what I mean? Based on before they find themselves and can choose their own options for themselves, giving them an option before they can fully develop. You know what I mean? To make their own choice in what they want until they find out, damn, no, I've developed. Now I know what I want. And now that I know what I want, now that I know I have to get out of this contract that I've been bound to, that I signed when I didn't know what I want.
Right.
And they knew that, and they were predatory in doing that. So you look at the young artists, a lot of them, they're going to be kids. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
A lot of them, they're going to be babies. So it's like, yo, that's the culture of a corporate mentality encourages one to just have their own ground. You know what I'm saying? As far as like, yo, know that if you want to be an artist, you have to be a businessman or businesswoman.
Right.
So yeah, stuff like that. So if it's a yin and yang, it's always a yin and yang to everything. So if you want to be an artist, you want to be an entrepreneur. You know what I mean? Like there is no one without the other. You know what I mean? A person should go into the artistry thinking that, or someone else is going to possess your art and do business with it. You know what I mean? So it's like, let's position ourselves to know better so that when we do meet up with the corporations and we want our music distributed to the masses, and we can't do that without them, at least let's have a stake in who we are. You know what I mean? Like a stake in the ground that's holding a tent down from when the wind blows the tent. The stake is stopping the tent from getting blown over. You got to have a stake investment in yourself first. You know what I mean? Before they give you something and you have to labor to get out of that debt because they get, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? You got to have more stake in yourself than what they have in you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you feel like today, in today's time, today's age, do you feel like it's easier for artists to plant that stake before they get involved in any contracts or any, corporate things?
I think it's easier for them to get because of how easy it is to access the information today. Back in the day, we didn't have Google, and we didn't have a lot of resources that we have now that give us immediate access to the answers that for our questions. I think that today it's easier for artists, and artists are doing better with that information that they have access to that the others they didn't have access to. So it's like I said, having that sense of freedom and coming back to the plantation and sharing that open mind so that others can have that viewpoint. It's like I still got that mentality, you know what I mean? Even though I ain't gone platinum and stuff like that, but it's like I still want to be in arm reach of I want to be accessible to give people the information and to continue walking inspiration. Like, dang, like, yo, that's XO, you know what I mean? Like, yo, you know what I mean? I still want to be that for the people, you know what I mean? So that's why I would never leave and say, yo, I'm gonna go down and pursue my career. No, I got this culture over corporate mentality. Like, I'm thinking so bigger outside of music. I'm not thinking just let me do it for the sake of the music. Like, nah, this is just the introduction to who I am, to the world, for me to present all of the projects and all of the ideas that I have outside of music. And I think that the people should know, that's how one should have a stake in, I guess, their future, as far as this is a base. Like, music can have a person with a customer base or consumer base that they can, have any product and present them with. You know what I mean? It's like you go on my website, you see my T-shirts is there, you see the vinyl is there. I have other things outside of the music just for sale to cater to my customer base. And we're going to have some more things coming up. So I encourage that. Like, don't be put in a box. Like, you know, like they've used words like career to put us in a box. For us to not think outside the box. They put our creativity in a box as far as like what we can create. Like I was talking earlier, is like, yo, we should be creating more in a tech world. You know what I'm saying? Our creation shouldn't just be limited to entertainment. They've boxed in our creativity through media by pushing what is perceived to be cool, and they've made the word cool a thing to be embraced. This is cool,
right?
Embrace it. You know what I'm saying? So now we're making being a thoughtful intellectual person cool. You know what I'm saying? Being on top of your business is cool. You know what I mean? Being at the forefront of the new technology of the world is very cool. You know what I mean? Because hip hop is about being ahead, knowing first. You know what I mean? So let's continue to do that. You know what I mean? Not just in music, but in all of the things. You know what I mean? You look at the fashion world, and you go on hypebeast.com, and like I said, I work with Wale when SBs was just coming out. That's like a Nike Dunk sneaker. SBs was just coming out, and back then Wale and Sneaker Man Dan, that's who put us all onto that shoe sneaker world, the way as though you can get some sneakers and flip them. That we're working at this sneaker store, and we're getting, you know, exclusive sneakers, and with the customer base at the sneaker store, we're selling shoes that's outside of their inventory and making money like that. So like that's a whole nother world. But like even that world is like, yo, we got it first. Come get it from me first. So it's like, yo, that's always been, being at the tip of the spear is how you penetrate, you know what I mean? And that's where we want to be at. And I feel as though the way music is going, if the youth keep focusing just on being rap artists, then our community, the hip hop community, is going to be behind, you know what I mean? So it's time to start incorporating other things in hip hop and redefining what hip hop is, expanding hip hop like the universe is expanding every day. You know what I'm saying? The earth is it expands every year. It gets a little bit, you know what I'm saying? So let's keep, hip hop is expanding itself. Hip hop is already expanded into social media and YouTube and the other things that the products that the beat machines and stuff like that people make hip hop with have even advanced. So let's take a part in some of those innovations. And think outside of the box. And that's how we're going to preserve our culture in the long run and have more of a say-so of what our culture is, instead of having the owners of the corporations who fund it say what it is based on their stake in it because they paid for everything.
Right.
You know? So if we have some patents and stuff like that from us being the head of innovation from our community, then we can have more of a stake and a say-so in what our culture actually is, and fund what needs to be funded. You know what I mean? As far as like giving aid here or giving aid there.
Yeah.
Care about things that from our community that Bill Gates is not going to care about, or that Jeff Bezos is not going to care about. You know what I mean? So let's take the hip hop community and diversify our intellectual consumption instead of just doing what new music drop first. It's like, nah, yo, like know that and know what sneaker drop, cool, but yo, know this innovation that's just dropped, because if we think ahead of that, that's in the realm of the future where, the realm of possibilities are. Let's stay dreaming. Let's stay in the realm of possibilities so that we can keep manifesting. You know what I mean? That's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I love that. I love this idea. Like, I feel like you're redefining, success in some ways. Like the corporate world is like, it's greed, money, power, control. And what you're talking about is like, yeah, we want to get ahead. We want to be out in the forefront. We want to make things happen, but but it's about empowerment. It's about people. It's about the culture. It's about the community, you know, doing these things to make people's lives better, not to line the pockets of a few individuals at the top, you know.
Facts. Not even myself. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not even because I could have been took that route and been a whole different type of person and made a whole different type of music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's like a selfless, you know, that's what I'm promoting. You know what I mean? Like, yo, like the hip hop rhetoric is kind of like has been like competitive and boastful based on like I guess the battle energy.
Yeah.
Battle coming from the battle background, you know, we compete in that way. You know what I mean?
Right.
But let's have that healthy competition. You know, because that mentality also comes from like corporations competing against each other to the point it was where they want to shut each other down. Like, nah, we just want to build each other up. You know what I mean? And you know, a person should only be competitive as far as what they can bring to the table, what's the best that they can bring to the table. But we all gonna benefit. You know what I'm saying? It's not like the people that are competing won't take part in what's the best. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
We just want to be from our community of what's the best. And we will compete in our own community and come up with what's the best. And then we're going to present that to the world, but we all going to benefit. Yeah. It's not like somebody's going to take an L because they didn't come up with it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. So, that's beautiful, man. And, you know, competition, you know, it's cool. I also like artists that are fun. And when I was the other day, I saw your IG and I saw an artist that you're taking a picture with, and I was like, oh, wow. So I want to ask you about this. There's an artist, an icon in hip hop that passed away recently, and he was one of the most influential artists for me growing up. I looked up to him in so many different ways. Talking about Biz Markie. So rest in peace to Biz Markie for sure. Yeah. He was such a phenomenal artist, so innovative, so creative. I didn't realize till later because I grew, you know, I got onto him pretty young that he made beats, and man, his beats were incredible. He beatboxed, he rhymed, he DJ'd. But you had a connection with Biz Markie, is that right?
It did.
Yeah, can you tell us about that?
When I was 14, I met Biz Markie at the mall, and I rapped for him. You know what I mean? And like, you know, at that point in time, this was before like that cafeteria lunchroom thing that I told you about with the other guys. I was a little bit younger. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have it together then in the lunchroom. But then when I rapped for him, it was like that seed was inside of me. You know what I mean? To like be that artist, or like the audacity was growing inside of me. You know what I mean? Because my uncle was like, he was like in the streets, and he was with a guy that hooked up with Priority Records around the time with him, and he was in everything Jay-Z was into, and that like the same Reasonable Doubt, he was like living it, and he like was with Priority Records, and like while he was with them, he was like, yo, y'all should be a rap group. So that was like the first, like, all right, let me write a rap. That was the first time I wrote a rap, was when he told me. And then going from that to the Biz Markie moment, like, yo, this could happen. Because at that time, it was like people were still spitting for guys and getting deals. Just like that long ago, like you could still spit a verse and like probably get signed. You know what I mean? So I spit for him, and I ain't had nothing written, and I was riding a bike and everything, and I spit like a whack freestyle, and he was like, you whack, bro. You ain't no rapper. You know what I'm saying? And every time I see him, he be like, yo, I did not call you whack. Bro. I did not say that. I'm like, no, you called me whack. But yeah, God rest his soul, man. You know what I mean? I would run into him all the time after that. Yeah. And I just kept working. Yeah. And I would tapes, and I knew where he lived at. So I would drop my tapes in his mailbox. I used to drop tapes in Biz Markie's mailbox. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Did he ever respond? Like, okay, all right, I see. No.
because he was getting hit up by everybody. Like all the kids knew he lived that after a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That got hip because you peep what he drive. He used to drive a Hummer. You know what I mean? So
that's cool.
Benz.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's cool. Rest in peace to Biz, man. He was one of the illest. Moving into the music, I do want to talk about your music. And you won a Whammy. A lot of people outside of DC don't know what that is, but that's like a DC award, right?
Yeah.
And you won for best hip hop album. It just said Culture Over Corporate. I assume that was volume 3.
No, that was the first one, actually.
You won for the first one. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Was there like an award show or anything like that you got to go to and celebrate it?
Because of COVID, they had like a digital. They had a digital thing on like Zoom and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We did it like that.
Yeah. Was it cool to be recognized that way though?
Oh, definitely, man. Definitely. It's always dope to get recognized for the art, for the hard work that we put in.
So there are some people like that, you know, if I do something, if someone recognizes me, there are some people that might recognize me and I'm like, okay, that's cool. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
There's other people though, it means more depending on who it comes from.
Right.
Is there a group or a person or a group of people that like, if they recognize your music, you would just be like, oh my gosh, I can be done now because they recognize me.
Well, you know, Q-Tip and Jay-Z and Young Guru and them, they know about Diamond District and stuff like that. Me, Odyssey, and YU, we've been up to Rock Nation and all that. So that was definitely like a thirst quencher right there. Like being in their office and having Q-Tip like, yo, like, y'all guys is dope. What can we do? You know what I mean? Like that was like a pivotal moment right there. You know what I mean? Just to get to that point.
Yeah. That's super dope, man. Super dope. Did anything follow up with that?
We opened up for Q-Tip a couple times after that, but like nothing of it came up. You know, the situation came through me, but you know, Q-Tip was really interested in Diamond District. You know what I mean? So I gave Odyssey the link. You know what I mean? I was just like, yo, rap the Odyssey. This is Odyssey's group. You know, he formed Diamond District. You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm a, you know, protocol. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So when Odyssey was back and forth in communication, I'm not sure what really happened. You know what I mean? But I guess they wasn't talking what he you know what I mean? It ain't make sense to him. If it ain't make sense to him, hey, that's what happened. Our brother said it ain't going down. You know what I'm saying?
Right. There was I feel like there.
What'd you say?
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
I would like, yo, it's dope to be up in Rock Nation and you know, around that energy. Hey, Q-Tip is right there. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it was dope. Then we opened up for Q-Tip at the Brooklyn Hip Hop Festival, like right after that. It was just dope, dog. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I bet, man. I bet. So, Culture Over Corporate, you have 3 installments. The first one was produced by Drew Dave.
Yeah.
Second one, Kev Brown, that a lot of our listeners know.
Yeah.
And this last volume 3 that came out this year, Odyssey.
Yeah.
Was there a rhyme or reason to why those 3 producers produced those projects? Did you reach out to them specifically? How those 3 come about specifically?
I did because I wanted people to know, like, if they could know what is the DC hip hop sound. I wanted them to be able to listen to the Culture Over Corporate volumes and get an idea of what DC hip hop sounds like. You know what I mean? And if they those albums, that's pretty much it. You know what I mean? Like to the core, like DC hip hop. You know, other than that, Diamond District. You know what I'm saying? Like to the core of like, yo, this is DC hip hop. You know what I mean?
Yeah, not to get ahead of ourselves, but I have to ask, do you have a volume 4 that you're thinking is going to happen?
I got another album done by another producer, but it's called something else.
Okay. Can you speak on that? Like who the producer is, or is this not?
It's AB the Pro.
Okay, right on. Dope.
He did the my album Color de Gray.
Dope album right there.
Which came out on Mellow Music Group. And he produced Told You So with Diamond District, Monumental 2, Monumental, half for like 1110, both Elu projects. So now I got AB, which is another definitely an intricate part of like the DC sound. You know what I mean? He's produced for a lot of people. He's pretty fucking dope. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
That album, like every album with every producer that I work with, it like brings something different out of me. So it's like I want to see that too. Every artist, every producer I work with, it's like I become like a new artist in to an extent, or I'm a different artist with every producer to a certain extent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I wanted people to hear that, almost like, all right, the Jordan 1 is the Jordan 1, the Jordan 2 is the Jordan 2, the Jordan 3 is the Jordan 3. So I wanted people to get that feel with like these albums and collect them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I love that, man. I love that. So Culture Over Corporate Volume 3. If someone has not listened to Uptown XO yet, they're missing out. But they come to me and they're like, Till, I heard the podcast. What song? If you were to give them one song to hook them in off that new project, what would it be? Suspense.
I'm home. Yeah, man. I'm home.
There you go.
The first joint. I'm home. You know.
Yeah, that's a dope joint.
Yeah.
I think pretty much it's 9 joints. Pretty much anyone is would be a good choice. I would also say The Great Debate.
The Great Debate. Well, yeah.
I think that's a great. They're all great, but that one really jumps out to me as well.
I'm gonna say that one too. Definitely, you know what I mean. But yeah. All them joints bangers, man. Like, I get into listening to like a lot of the new music that I've done. So when it comes out to the world, it's really like old to me. You know what I mean? And I'm on to my future projects more so. So I'm already in the future, maybe 2 years out as far as music.
Well, bringing the listeners back to the present, one of the things that I like about you and your work is that, some artists are just kind of oversaturating and putting out like albums every month, which is cool. If you like their music, that's cool. Yeah. Some artists take forever and a day, they 5 years darn near, and whatever. I feel like you found a pretty good rhythm. You don't oversaturate things, but it's not like, oh, I haven't heard from Uptown XO in a while. I also feel like with these last few projects, the length has been pretty cool. Like the first one and the third one, they're both 9 songs, about 30 minutes. So it's like you can sit down and just like listen to the entire thing and enjoy it. And you can also just throw it in the background too. So it works in many different ways, which I think is really helpful in today's just crazy, fast pace. You don't know if they're listening on headphones or in a system, or if they're sitting down or in the car. There's so many different ways to listen to it. And I feel like this album plays really well in multiple ways. Some albums like, all right, I got to sit down and really think about this music for the next hour or whatever. This music, I can do that with this music, but I also just put it on and enjoy it and not think that deeply as well. So it's very versatile in that way.
Exactly. And I know that I can get that deep, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, here's an opportunity for me to show them my range as far as a writer, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let me show you my range as a writer, because listening to the first Culture Over Corporate, one may put me in the box. Listening to the first and the second volume, like, okay, he makes that type of music. But listening to Odyssey is like, oh no, this may be a wider range, like this mass appeal. You know what I mean? It got more mass appeal because it's less concentrate. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
It's like OJ, high pulp, a little bit of pulp, no pulp. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I love that analogy.
Easier to consume. You know what I'm saying?
Well, listen, if you're listening to the podcast right now and you have not heard Culture Over Corporate Volume 3, you're missing out. It's a really good project. It's on all streaming platforms. Volume 2 is there. Volume 1 is there. His other work is there. He's put out some really phenomenal albums as a solo MC. We'll get into this in a moment here in our little game. But he's also put out a couple group albums with Diamond District and probably some other stuff that I don't even know about. So he's got a great track record of dope music. So listen to this man's music, but more importantly, consider throwing this man money. He works hard for this and he does good things. So go to his websites. He mentioned earlier, I know one, cultureovercorporate.com, right there is on the hoodie. The other one, uptownxo.com. Is that right?
Yeah.
Go to these websites, support this man. He's doing phenomenal work. Really, really appreciate the music that you're releasing. Is there anything else you want to, before we get into this final game that we like to do, is there anything else you want to tell the people tonight that you have coming up, or just anything you want to share with them?
Man, everybody keep going after your dreams, man. Don't stop, don't quit. Like we was talking about earlier, in the combo, every no you get closer to your yes. You know what I mean? Yeah. So if you want to tap into your genius, the first thing you should do is just don't quit. That's how you tap into your genius.
Man, I love it. I love it. All right. So I'm going to play this little invitation. We do this little thing called One Word, and it's going to invite you to accept a challenge. Here we go. Let me play this for you.
Okay, party people in the house.
Let's get ready to rumble!
In this portion of the show, we'll show an assortment of hip-hop albums and challenge our guests to describe them in one word or less. Do you accept the challenge?
All right, There it is. Do you accept the challenge?
Yep.
All right. He says yes, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see if you can do it. I will show you the album. I'll say the name for our podcast listeners, and you try to describe the album or tell us about the album in one word or less. Not really sure what the less part is, but one word or less. Here we go. First album. We mentioned it earlier. He's on it. This is March on Washington.
Yeah.
By Diamond District.
Second Coming.
Second Coming. Because of this was the second album?
Yep.
Okay. Right. Do you have a favorite of the two?
Man. I like both, man, to be honest. You know, like I like cuts from both of them. You know what I mean? And I like the Redux. I like cuts from the Redux joint as well.
Yeah, there's some dope bangers on there. Is there a trilogy in the works? Is there a third one in the works?
There is actually. You know what I mean? Just people, got to keep the people posted though. It may be a while, you know what I mean? But it's up to Odyssey, you know what I mean? So, everybody who's a fan of Diamond District, get in Odyssey comments right now and be like, yo, man, when that next album coming out? You know what I mean?
Yo, I'm there. Everyone, please follow Uptown XO's orders and get at Odyssey about that album because, man, the first two are dope. All right, next album here, one word or less, Capital Punishment by Big Pun.
Magnificent.
Yeah, I feel that.
Definitely inspired my flow pattern. My syllables. Big Pun is one of the most underrated rappers of all time. You know what I mean? And just coming from like Uptown DC, right? And like having like some like family members that's like Dominican and stuff, growing up New York, seeing that culture. And we have like a similar culture here in Northwest as far as like Black Latino, you know what I mean? So it's like, I got a high appreciation like for like the Afro-Latino perspective, you know what I'm saying, in rap, you know what I mean? So I'm always championing for that, you know what I mean? Big Pun is my dude, for real.
Yeah, dope. All right, next one, going out to the West. Well, he was from the East, but we know him from the West, most of his music at least. Me Against the World by Tupac.
Man, life changer.
Why life changing?
Definitely.
For you?
Yeah, got me through so much. So like Lord knows on that joint, Lord knows, Me Against the World, like listening to the lyrics and on Me Against the World, it was so inspirational. You know what I'm saying? I always tell the youth, like, yo, like, it seems like the more access we had to the information, we have like a deep appreciation of what should be appreciated. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, when you have guys like Tupac at 23 when he made that record, I believe, and you see a guy 23 today, it's like you see the how advanced technology has got, but the people, we're not advanced like we used to be. We used to be young, and the old, you used to look at a person and say, man, you got an old spirit. And it's because the individual appreciated in quality because of what they value. You know what I mean? It's like the less we value based on how we consumed it. If we consumed it too easy, we're not going to value it the same as like going to the library looking for stuff in alphabetical order, or the book is not there, got to come back next week to even get the book, to even read the book, to have this understanding of what, like that sort of appreciation, which takes time. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Almost like how stocks can appreciate over time. That's slow rise though. Right. Because you know, if it goes up too fast, it's gonna go down fast. Yeah. So it's like, yo, like technology has gone up dramatically fast. And it's like the quality of the people as far as like, or what we appreciate, you know what I mean? It's like it's gone down fast. We don't appreciate no more. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like no, that's the Uzi Verts or the Little Yachty's is like, who's Tupac? Like what? And then you look at the subject matter and the music, it's not as inspirational to the youth as the lyrics that Tupac was saying in his music. You know what I'm saying? That, you know what I mean? Like everybody listen to Me Against the World right now. Listen to, this is a kid, you know what I'm saying? Like lyrics is crazy, dog. Like, but that's what inspired me to really to be the type of writer that I am. You know what I'm saying? Yo, forget the battle stuff and writing raps about being better than you, or writing raps telling you you're not better than me. Like this is raps for the world. Yeah. Like this is for the people that are oppressed worldwide. You know what I mean? Yeah. And Tupac wrote from that perspective. And that's why he is appreciated. You know what I mean? Yeah. I love it. All right, next one, back to the East for this one. This is Reasonable Doubt by Jay-Z. You got all the albums I named. Like, yo, like came I ready. Said, yeah, like I said, my uncle was like living like that. You know what I mean? So I understood that album. You know what I mean? And that album as well taught me about an honest approach to songwriting. You know, since hip hop is so metaphorical, and you know, he brought the literal aspect to hip hop, and Tupac did as well. But Jay-Z really took it there and gave sort of an authentication with rap. You know what I'm saying? And the album that came out after that, he was like, you couldn't talk about it if you ain't live it. And on the song where I'm from. And Tupac had that same thing, but still Tupac talked about a lot of things he didn't go through. Still, we knew that. Even though he was like, yo, keep it real. You know what I mean? But like, yo, Jay-Z took that and like really like, yo, like I don't talk about, he still doesn't to this day. Like everything, you know, Jay-Z, he raps about what his achievements and what he's done. Yeah. And I like that perspective of songwriting. You know what I mean? Yeah. All right, two more here. This one is Ready to Die by the Notorious Big. That album right there made me fall in love with hip hop. Like that is hip hop in its purest form. So it's like, all right, we can listen to Biggie's what is it? Where the cash at? The joint he's robbing. You know what I mean? Where the cash at? Where the stash at? he's robbing somebody in that record. We can tell that that's a story. He may have imagined that. That's not like a literal thing.
Yeah.
But as far as the artistry, where your mind can go, as far as like the world within your mind, you know what I mean? Like Biggie captured that is in songwriting in that album. You know what I'm saying? From Me and My Bitch to the last song, him killing himself, to One More Chance, not on that one. What's on that record? The Big Papa, you know what I mean?
Big Papa, yep.
Big Papa, you know what I mean? I Don't Want to Live No More. Sometimes I hear death knocking at my door. That joint. The Warning, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, it's like it was worlds within worlds on that album. You know what I mean? Like every song was like going into a world.
Yeah.
It was like the album was a galaxy. You know what I'm saying? Biggie was the sun, and every record was like a planet that revolved around him. You know what I mean? And that was a beautiful thing to like jump from track to track or planet to planet in that galaxy of an album. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's a fresh way to look at it. That's dope. All right, last one of the night. This is Illmatic by Nas.
Yeah, that's another one, man. That and I was kind of like a late bloomer to a lot of this music. You know what I mean? Like when that record came out, I was in first grade in 91. And then 93, the Biggie joint came out in 93. I was in third grade. So, you know, I had to grow up and go back and listen to what other people appreciated so that I can appreciate it, so that people can appreciate me in the same way through preserving, like, I guess some of the same things that they preserve, when unconsciously, I didn't even know that they were preserving hip hop. Like when Jay-Z was like, when Biggie was like, you know, shouting out Magic Marley Marl, used to let my tape rock till my tape pop. You know what I mean? Like painting that picture. And now I painted that same picture. So if nobody knew what it was like to be around in those times, like that was our social media, some of those records. You know what I'm saying? That was our Instagram. That was our world star. Those verses, those raps, you know what I mean? And to give us a picture of what's going on in other cities, you know what I mean? And especially with the Mecca of hip hop, you know what I mean? Like that was a crazy album. One Love, all them joints, man. That album is crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Same. Yeah. Nah, I love that. I love all those albums. So when you sent me the albums you like, I was like, oh man, I love all these albums. This is dope. Yeah. So right on. Well, listen, the last thing we do on the Boom Bap Chat is we give shout outs, because, you know, what's a hip hop show without some shout outs? So I'll give a few, and then I'll turn it over to you, Uptown XO, and you can take us on out of here. Okay.
All right.
But before we go, I do definitely want to shout out iomos Murad, who's usually with us, but was on a video shoot tonight. So shout out to him. Same with Profound, who's usually with us here in the Boom Bap Chat, has some family stuff to go to tonight. So shout out to you guys. Everyone who's downloaded, we just put out a magazine, an online magazine called the Boom Bap Mag. Uptown XO has a little write-up about his new album in there. So make sure y'all check that out, boombapmag.com. Next week, I want to shout out Grap Lover, who's going to be with us. Super excited about having him on the show. So make sure you tune in next Thursday. What's that, Uptown? What'd you say?
That's my brother.
Yeah. Cool. You know Grap Lover?
Yeah. I got him on the Elu album, Volume 2. Oh, he produced the record on there, and he is on a verse. He got a verse on there, yeah.
Oh, right on. So shout out to him and everyone who loves him. He'll be on with us next Thursday night. And obviously, shout out to you, Uptown XO. Like I said at the beginning of the hour, really appreciate integrity and the excellence that you put forth in all you do. And thank you for taking it. Yeah, man. Thank you for taking an hour of your life and sharing it with me here and with the people that are tuned in. So thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate you, man. You know what I mean?
Man.
Everybody go to the website, cultureovercorporate.com. Follow me on Instagram, Uptown XO _EALU. That stands for ELU. Everybody ain't like us. Everybody ain't like you, man. You already know.
Right on, right on. And on that note, as always, we say peace, 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 peace.